Good morning, viewers. Welcome. This is Elimu Live. My name is Teacher Steplaton. Welcome to the program. I'm a teacher of science, so I'll be taking you through science today. Today I'm going to teach you about the human body, which is a very wide topic. So because of the width of the topic, I'm going to handle it in two parts. So the first part of the human body, I'm going to handle it today. The second part, I'm going to handle it some other day. So welcome. The human body is a topic that runs across all the classes, from the lowest class to the uppermost class. So the first thing about the human body that I'm going to talk about is the external body parts. This topic, the human body, is very essential because it brings you to the know-how of your body. It helps you to understand the systems of your body, and it also helps you to know what the different body parts perform different functions. So welcome. I'll start with the external body parts. Now these external body parts, they're body parts that you can see, and the external body parts are very simple. The first one is the head, we have the neck, we have the chest, we have the arms, and we have the legs. So those are the external body parts that we have. So we have the head, and the head consists of the eyes, the ears, the nose, hair, and mouth. We also have the neck, the chest, the arms, and the legs. So those are the external body parts. The next part of the human body is what is called as sensory organs and the senses. So we have 5 senses, and these senses are perceived or are received by what we call sensory organs or sense organs. So we have the first sense, which is sense of smell. Sense of smell, the sense organ for that is the nose. We also have the sense of taste, and the sensory organ for taste is the tongue. We have sense of touch. The sensory organ responsible for that is the skin. We also have sense for sight, and the organ responsible for sense of sight is the eyes. And then finally we have the sense of hearing. The sensory organ responsible are the ears. So we have 5 senses. Remember, a common sense is not categorized under the senses we learn in science. So we have 5 of them. So we have sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of touch, sense of hearing, and sense of sight. And they are responsible sensory organs. Now these sensory organs are very important because they help us to receive these senses, and then we respond accordingly. For example, if you get into a room that is stuffy, when you get in, you will not stay in for a long time. You will enter. If it's to pick something, pick and leave, because your nose is able to feel or to sense the odor smell, so you get out. But on the contrary, if you get into the room and then it has a pleasant smell, you'll want to stay there for a long time. So that is the importance of the senses and the sensory organs. So the senses are there. So we have sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of touch, sense of sight, sense of hearing, and they are responsible sensory organs. So those are the first 2 subtopics on the topic the human body. The next part of the human body is about the teeth. We all have teeth, and I'm sure you all know what teeth are. But to define teeth, we can say teeth are hard, white substances found in our mouth. Teeth are hard, white substances that are found in our mouth. When you open your mouth, you are able to see teeth. So as you are viewing, whoever you are viewing with, kindly request him or her to open the mouth. So when they do open the mouth, I want you to observe as they open the mouth. I'm assuming you're doing that. So open the mouth and let whoever you are seated with check. Good. I believe you have done that. Now, whatever you see, the white substance, that is what we refer to as the teeth. Now, the teeth develop from the jaw, and they are supported by what we call the gum. The gum is the reddish substance just beneath the teeth. As your friend was opening the mouth, you could be able to see the white substances, those are the teeth, and you could also be able to see the red substance. The red substance, that is the gums. And the gums help to keep the teeth into position. The teeth develop from what we call the jaw. So we have two jaws, the upper jaw and the lower jaw. So we have the teeth. And I have said they are hard, white substances found in the mouth, and teeth develop from the jaw above the gum. So the function of the gums is to support the teeth. So I have a sample of a diagram that shows the human jaw. I want you to look at that sample of a diagram that shows the human jaw. Look at it keenly. So when you look at the diagram, you are able to see different teeth. So we have the upper jaw on the left side of your screen, and then we have the lower jaw on the right side of your screen. And then we have the gum that supports the teeth, or the gums that put the teeth into position. These teeth that we have looked at have different types. They are of different types. The teeth that you have looked at, they are of different types. So there are of 4 types, and these different types of teeth can be described differently. So when we are describing the teeth, we focus on 3 main things. So we focus on the shape of the teeth. So we will come to learn that we have some teeth that are chisel shaped. We have some teeth that are sharp and pointed. We also have some teeth that have what you call cusps and ridges. So that is the first description. So we can describe teeth according to the shape. We can also describe teeth according to the function. So we have teeth that are used for cutting and biting. We have teeth that are used for tearing flesh. And we also have teeth that are used for chewing, grinding, and crushing. So that is the second description of teeth according to the function. Now the last, we can describe teeth according to the roots. So we'll realize that some teeth have 1 root, some teeth have 2 roots, and also there's one that has 3 roots. So when we talk about the different types of teeth, the differences in the types of teeth will be based on the 3, on the shape, on the function, and on the roots. Now let's look at the types of teeth that we have. We have 4 types of teeth, and these types of teeth are as follows. The first type of teeth are called incisors. The second type of teeth are called canines. The third type of teeth are called premolars. And the last type of teeth are called molars. So let's look at the types of teeth. So as I said earlier, we have the 4 types of teeth. So the first ones, we call them incisors. Incisors. The second one, we call them canines. The third ones, we call them premolars. And the fourth one, we call molars. And I said earlier, we can describe teeth based on 3 aspects. So we can describe teeth according to shape. We can describe teeth according to function. And we can describe teeth according to the roots. So we can base our descriptions there. The first type of teeth now. The first type of teeth are called incisors. These are the teeth that are found at the front of the mouth. When you open your mouth, this part, when you open your mouth, the first teeth that you see are called incisors. So as we learn, I would like you to be opening your mouth when I tell you, and please take caution. You only open your mouth and don't touch your mouth, because right now we have the COVID-19 and it is spread through some unhygienic practices such as touching the mouth. So do not touch your mouth, you just open and observe. So the first type of teeth which appear are called the incisors. And we can describe incisors as follows. They are chisel shaped. So to be chisel shaped, the shape of a chisel looks something like this. So they are chisel shaped. That's what we mean by chisel shaped. They have a flat edge at the top. So they have a flat edge at the top. So it's a flat edge. So take note of that. They are found at the front of the mouth. They have 1 root. They are 8 in number, and they are used for cutting and biting. Now, a description. When I say they are 8 in number, it means that because we have 2 jaws, the teeth are spread in the 2 jaws evenly. So if they are 8 in number, then there are 4 incisors at the top and 4 incisors at the bottom. So there is no single time where the 2 jaws will have the different number of teeth. They have to be an equal number. We cannot have 7, 1. That's not possible. So it is 4 and 4. So that is about incisors, and the function of incisors is cutting and biting. And to demonstrate that, when you are given, let's say for example, a banana, when you buy a banana, you cut and bite the banana. You do not put it at the back of your mouth. That is not possible. You put it at the front of your mouth. So the teeth that are found at the front of your mouth, those are the incisors, and they're the ones that enable the cutting and biting of food. So I'm going to show you the diagram of an incisor. So that is a diagram of an incisor. So look at it keenly. So this is the flat top that I'm talking about. So this shape, the whole shape, is what we refer to as chisel shape. So that shape is what we refer to as chisel shaped. This is the roots, and the function of the root is to enable the teeth to be rooted in the jaw. So that is a diagram of incisors type of teeth. So we can look at our second type of teeth, which are called the canines. Now, just as we have described the incisors, we also describe the canines. So we start by the shape, how it looks like. So we define or describe incisors as sharp and pointed. Incisors are sharp and pointed. We are going to see why are they sharp and pointed. It's due to the function that they perform. They have one root, just like the incisors. Canines also have one root. Then incisors are found between, the canines are found between the incisors and the premolars. Then these ones are half the number of incisors. So canines are 4 in number. And when we talk about them being 4, we mean 2 on the upper jaw and 2 on the lower jaw. Now the functions of a canine is they are used for piercing, they are used for holding, they are used for grasping or grasping, and they are also used to tear the flesh. When you are taking meat, for those who love meat, take for example beef. So when you are eating beef and then you have some meat particles that are stuck on the bone, you use your canines to tear the meat from the bones. And the canines are between the incisors and the premolars. So those are the points about the incisors, the canines. So they are sharp and pointed. You have to be very key on that. They have one root. Then they are found between the incisors and premolars. They are 4 in number, 2 on the upper jaw and 2 on the lower jaw. Then they are used, these are now the functions. They are used for piercing, holding, gripping, grasping, and also tearing flesh. And I gave an example of tearing flesh whereby I said when you are taking meat and the meat particles are stuck in the bones, you're going to use the canines to tear the flesh. So we'll look at the diagram of a canine. So that is an example of a canine. So you can look at the front part, which is very sharp. So it is sharp and pointed. So you can see that. It's sharp and pointed for the purpose that it performs. Then it has one root. So you can look at the root. So we can have your gum there. So it has one root. So that is about a canine. So the next type of teeth are called premolars. Premolars, we start with the description of premolars. Premolars have what we call ridges and cusps. When I talk about ridges and cusps, I mean the top is uneven. It is not flat. It has an even shape. That's what I mean. That is what we refer to as ridges and cusps. Premolars have 2 roots. Unlike incisors and canines, premolars have 2 roots. Then they are found between the canines and the molars. They are found between the canines and the molars. Premolars are 8 in number, which means we have 4 premolars on the upper jaw and 4 premolars on the lower jaw. Then premolars perform a function that is either grinding, chewing, or crushing the food. So those are descriptions about premolars. They have ridges and cusps, and I've said ridges and cusps mean uneven tops. So that is the uneven top. We'll be looking at the type of teeth. So the top of a premolar looks something like that. They have 2 roots. We have seen that incisors and canines have 1 root, but premolars have 2 roots. They are found between the canines and the molars. And this is a diagram that shows premolars. That is a diagram that shows the premolars. I want you to observe it keenly. So this is the top. So when you look at the top, this is what I was referring to as cusps and ridges. So the cusps and ridges are very clear on that diagram. You can be able to see it clearly. So that is the cusps and the ridges. And then when you look at the roots, so we have one, this is the first root, and then we have two, that's the second root. So they have two roots. And that shows the diagram of a premolar. The last type of teeth now are what we call the molars. Molars and premolars have several similarities, from the description of the shape to the description of the functions are the same, but there are also some few differences between the two. Now let's look at the description of molars. Molars have what you call ridges and cusps, just like the premolars. But one of the differences comes to the next point, whereby molars have 3 roots while premolars have 2 roots. That's the first difference. The second difference, the molars are broader than the premolars. In simple, they are bigger than the premolars. And then molars are found at the back of the mouth. They are the last teeth at the back of the mouth. Then they are the teeth that are largest in number, such that they are 12. When they are 12, we mean 6 on the upper jaw and 6 on the lower jaw. And then the function of premolar and molars are the same. They are both used for chewing, grinding, and crushing food. So that is the description. Ridges and cusps, as I've said, 3 roots. They are broader than premolars. They are found at the back of the mouth, 12 in number, which means they are the teeth with the largest number. Then the functions, they are used for chewing, grinding, and crushing food. So we can look at similarities between premolars and molars. Similarities. So similarities between premolars and molars. So both of them have what we call ridges and cusps. So they both have ridges and cusps. That is the first similarity. Then they are both used for chewing. They're both used for chewing, grinding, and also crushing food. Then we can look at the differences. Now the first difference will appear in terms of breadth. So one is broader than the other one. The next one will appear in terms of roots. So premolars 2 roots and molars 3 roots. I tell my pupils to differentiate the roots. We know premolars is one word, but we can pronounce it as 2 to be able to remind you that it has 2 roots. So you can pronounce it as premolars. Premolars, 2 words, but it's 1 word. So it means, or it reminds you, there are 2 roots there. Then molars, 3 roots. You have to make learning interesting. You don't have to be very stiff when you learn, because learning will become boring. But learning needs to be very enjoyable. So make it as interesting as possible. Having looked at the types of teeth, and there are 4 in number, we are now going to look at sets of teeth. Pupils tend to confuse between types and sets. Types are 4, based on the description of the shape, based on the description of the function, and based on the description of the roots. When we come to sets, a set is a group of teeth now that grow, and then they are removed or shed, then another group of teeth also grow. So the first group that grows is what we refer to as the first set. And the second group that grows now is what we refer to as the second set. So we have two sets, and the two sets, the first set is called primary teeth, and the second set is called permanent teeth. So the first set can either be called primary teeth, it can either be called milk teeth, it can either be called deciduous teeth, or it can also be called temporary teeth. So those are the other names of primary teeth. So when we talk about milk teeth, deciduous teeth, temporary teeth, we mean primary teeth. Babies at the age of 6 to 8 months start what we call teething. As a child is born, a normal child in a normal circumstance, the child is born without teeth. Although there are some other abnormal circumstances where a child is born with teeth. So we are talking about the normal circumstance where a child is born without teeth. Then as it grows, at the age of 6 months, teeth starts to grow. When teeth start to grow, that process we refer to as teething, the growing of teeth. So we refer to as teething, and it starts at that age. So milk teeth consists of the 3 types of teeth. So those are the incisors, the canines, and the premolars, but it excludes the molars, which means molars are not part. So molars are not part of that, of the primary teeth. Then at about age 6, the teeth starts to fall, and this is what we call shedding of teeth. Now, there are interesting numbers here. 6 months, teething starts, that is the growing of teeth. 6 years, shedding of teeth starts, that is the removal of teeth. That is about the primary set of teeth, the milk teeth, the deciduous teeth, or the temporary teeth. The second set of teeth are called the permanent teeth. They can also be called the secondary teeth. Now, these are the teeth that grow once shedding of teeth has taken place, whereby the primary teeth have been removed. So those are the permanent teeth. And at about 11 to 13 years, a child usually have 28 teeth. Now, I want to bring to your attention the following. Number 1, primary teeth or milk teeth are always 20 in number, and that happens between 1 to 10. But when a child starts or reaches at age 11 to 13, they start to grow more teeth. So at this age, there are approximately 28 teeth. And there is a question that is likely to be asked. A boy in Lurambi Primary School, a class 8 boy in Lurambi Primary School, is likely to have dash number of teeth. The answer is not 20 and the answer is not 32. The answer is 28. So we go on. The last 4 molars to grow are what we call wisdom teeth. And they start to develop at age 20. So at the age of 20 years, the last 4 molars start to grow and they are called wisdom teeth. Now these teeth that are permanent teeth, they are never shed, and in case they come out, then they'll have to be replaced by artificial teeth, and these artificial teeth are called dentures. They are not the real teeth. You have seen some people with teeth that are not white, they are golden, others are silver. Those are what we refer to as dentures. Now, having talked about teeth, we can also look at teeth-related problem, although that is not on the topic, that is on the topic health education. But you can review very fast. So we have 4 teeth-related problems: tooth decay, we have tooth cavity, bleeding gums, also called gingivitis, and then bad breath. So those are the teeth-related problems. Under the human body still, we are going to look at the breathing system as our next part of the human body. Breathing system. Now the breathing, we can start by defining what breathing is. And breathing is a process that involves taking in and taking air in and out of the lungs. That is what we call breathing. Taking in air and out of the lungs. When we breathe in, remember, we breathe in all the gases, but we are concentrating on two gases here. The two gases are called respiratory gases. That is oxygen, which is used by the body, and carbon dioxide, which is given as a waste gas. So those are the two types of gases that will concentrate. Now, the breathing system has parts. And the first part of the breathing system is referred to as the nose. So we have the nose, and we'll be looking at functions of this part. Then we have the trachea, also called the windpipe. We have the bronchus, which branch to bronchioles. Then we have the lungs. And finally, okay, we also have, in the lungs, we have the alveoli, also called the air sacs. We have the diaphragm, and finally the rib cage. Those are the parts that make the breathing system. That is a model to show the breathing system. So we have the nose at this part. So that is the nose. I hope you can be able to see. And don't touch your nose at home. We can ignore these two. Then we have the trachea, I also call the windpipe. We also have the alveoli, also called the air sacs. We also have the bronchi, diaphragm, this one here, which is a sheet of muscles. Then we have ribs, the ribs that cover the delicate part, which is the lungs. Then you have seen we have a right lung and a left lung. I want to explain there. Every time you're drawn a diagram in science, the diagram is usually laterally inverted. By laterally inverted, I mean the right part of the diagram is your left part. So this diagram is looking at you. So your right becomes the left of the diagram. So when we look at this diagram of ours, you can see the right lung on the left side and the left lung on the right side. That is because it is laterally inverted. In exam, they can draw for you such a diagram and they ask you, what is the name of part A? And among the choices, we have right lung and left lung. Remember, the answer is right lung. Now, the functions of the breathing system, the functions of the parts of the breathing system. So we have the nose, and inside the nose, I want you to know that the nose has three things. It has what you call the mucus, it has what you call the hair, and it has what you call blood capillaries. So these parts or these things found in the nose are the ones that enable the nose to perform its different functions. So the mucus and the hair help to trap the dust particles, and the blood capillaries help to moisten the air. When we come to the trachea, also called the windpipe, the trachea is usually open. It is kept open for free movement of air. And what keeps it open is what you call C-shaped rings. These C-shaped rings, we call them cartilage. So if I draw trachea, it has C-shaped rings. So those are the rings that I'm talking about. Now these C-shaped rings are what I'm calling the cartilage. So it has cartilage, which are C-shaped rings, and for the purpose of that is to keep the trachea open. Note that. And trachea also has mucus and hair. Then we come to the bronchus. There are two tubes that branch from the trachea and direct the air into the lungs. So if we have our trachea here, so we have the tube will branch into these two tubes. Now these two tubes are what I'm referring to as bronchus. Now these bronchus will further subdivide into what we call bronchioles. So that is that. And then the lungs are a spongy elastic bags. And inside the lungs, we have what we call air sacs. And the purpose of air sac is to facilitate the exchange of gases. whereby oxygen gets in and carbon dioxide gets out. Then we have the diaphragm, which is a sheet of muscle that separates the chest from the abdomen. And the function of the diaphragm is that it helps in breathing, such that when the diaphragm moves downwards or flattens, it makes air get into the lungs and the lungs become inflated, which means they have air. And that is called breathing in. And the opposite is the same, such that when the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward, the other name of moving upward is dome-shaped. So when it forms a dome-shaped, then the lungs will contract and release out air, and that is called breathing in and breathing out. So breathing in and out has a process. So the diaphragm first has to move downwards, and as it moves downwards, air gets into the chest. When air gets into the chest, the volume of the chest increases. The volume, which means the chest becomes bigger. That's what we mean by the volume of the chest increasing. Now, volume is inversely proportional to pressure. When I say inversely proportional, I mean it is opposite. When the volume of the chest cavity is increasing, pressure in the chest cavity is decreasing. Then the last is the lungs expand and air sucks in, and we call that breathing in. So we can look at that as differences between breathing in and breathing out. So in breathing in, the diaphragm moves downwards or flattens, but in breathing out, the diaphragm moves upward or forms a dome-shaped. In breathing in, the volume of the chest increases. Here, the volume of the chest decreases. And I've said when the volume increases, pressure of the chest cavity decreases. Pressure of the chest cavity decreases, whereas here, pressure in the chest cavity is going to increase. Then, the last point, in breathing in, the lungs expand and the air sucks in. And in breathing out, the lungs contract, forcing the air out. So that is about the breathing system. And we also have a model of the breathing system. You can make the breathing system which is improvised. So we have the trachea. To make a trachea, you can use a straw. The bronchus, you can also use a straw. The lungs, you can use a balloon. And the diaphragm, you can use a rubber band or a rubber sheet. So when we pull the rubber band downwards, or the diaphragm downwards, it is like breathing in, such that the diaphragm, which is the rubber band in this case, will move downwards. When it moves downwards, then it will force air to suck in. As it sucks in, it will find its way into the balloons. And then the balloons will be filled by air, and therefore they are going to expand. And the other name of expanding will say the balloons are inflated. So that is the other name of the balloon expanding. So when we pull the diaphragm downwards, that's what happens. So the lungs or the balloons will expand. When we pull the diaphragm upwards, then the opposite of what I've said is also going to happen. So that is about the breathing system. We can look at our next and our last part of the human body that you're going to look at today. And as I teach, if you have questions, you can keep on asking or texting on the number that is appearing on your screen. So in the digestive system, we'll start by defining what digestion is. And digestion is the process through which food is broken down into small particles. So we have two words here. We are breaking food down into small particles that can be absorbed into the body. Under that, we have what we call alimentary canal. And an alimentary canal is a tube that runs from the mouth to the anus. This is where food moves. Liver and pancreas are not part of of the alimentary canal, but they are support organs in the digestive system. So that is about the introductory part of the digestive system. So we have parts of the digestive system. So we have the mouth, we have the esophagus, we have the stomach, we have the small intestines, the large intestines, the rectum, and the anus, and that is the alimentary canal. And then we also have pancreas, we also have liver, which happens to be support organs in the digestive system. So mouth, we start by the mouth. The mouth has teeth. We have already looked at teeth and the functions of teeth. And these teeth help to break down the food. The mouth also produces saliva, which is produced by the salivary glands. And the purpose is to soften the food and help it to stick together. In the mouth, we also have what we call the tongue. And the tongue rolls the food into what we call boluses. Now, three things in the mouth that performs different functions. Teeth to break down the food. Saliva to soften and stick the food particles together. And the tongue to roll the food into boluses. So when the food leaves the mouth, it goes to what you call the esophagus. The esophagus, also called the gullet, also called the food pipe, helps in the movement of food. And food moves down the gullet in a wave-like manner called peristalsis. So this is the wave-like manner that I want to show you here. So that is your esophagus. So when you are swallowing food, so we can have food particle here, which you have said is rolled into what you call boluses. So that is a bolus. Now this is what I'm referring to as peristalsis. It looks like a wave-like manner, and that is the movement of food down the esophagus. Make sure you don't confuse the esophagus, also called the gullet, also called the food pipe, with the trachea. Trachea or windpipe is in breathing system. Then esophagus is in the digestive system. We also have the mouth, and the mouth, we have the stomach. The walls of the stomach produce a juice called gastric juice, and gastric juice helps in the digestion of proteins. So proteins are digested in the stomach. It also has hydrochloric acid found in the stomach, and its purpose it's used to kill the germs. There are some food substances that are absorbed directly into the stomach, and they include glucose, vitamins, medicine, and alcohol. They are absorbed directly. The food that are digested in the mouth, we have starch, or also called carbohydrates. That's about the stomach. From the stomach, food moves down the small intestines. The small intestines is made up of what you call the duodenum, which is the upper part of the ileum. So the small intestines can also be called the ileum. The duodenum helps in the digestion of fats and oil. Bile juice produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder mixes with pancreatic juice produced by the pancreas, and they mix in the duodenum and they help in emulsification of fats. In simple words, they help in digestion of fats. That is about the duodenum. Now in the small intestines produces what you call intestinal juice, and digestion of food ends in the small intestine. Thereafter, the food is absorbed. Now there are characteristics of the small intestine that enables food to be absorbed. Number one, it is long and coiled up to a distance of 7 meters. So that length gives food enough time to move through the small intestine. And as it moves through the small intestine, then the absorption of the food takes place. It also has what you call the villi. Villi are finger-like projection that helps in the absorption of the food. And then it also has blood capillaries, and these blood capillaries also help for the same reason. So those are the characteristics. We have the large intestine, which is also called the colon, and water and mineral salts are absorbed at this part. Remember, in exam, you can be given a food substance that contains minerals, and then you are asked, where was the food likely to be digested? So that is the rectum. That is the colon. We have the rectum, which stores food temporarily before it's passed out through egestion. Egestion is the process through which undigested food is passed outside in form of feces. So that is egestion. Then the anus, that's the function, is to pass out the undigested food. So this is the model of the digestive system. So we have the mouth, which has teeth. So the mouth has teeth, it has saliva, and it has the tongue. So you can see that. You can also see the salivary glands. So we have the esophagus, which is also called food pipe. And this is where the food moves in a wavy-like manner. And that wavy-like manner is called peristalsis. So we have the liver which produces bile juice, which is stored in the gallbladder, stored there. So we have the stomach which has gastric juice produced by the walls of the stomach, and it also has hydrochloric acid. It has hydrochloric acid. Then we also have the pancreas, which produces pancreatic juice, together with bile juice help in digestion of fats. We also have the large intestines, also called the colon. We also have the small intestines. Here we have the ileum, and the upper part of the small intestine is also called the duodenum. So that is about the digestive system. Now, I believe you've been following, and up to that point, it brings me to the conclusion of the first part of the human body. Remember, as I started teaching, I told you I'll handle it in two parts. So the first part I've handled it today. The second part I'll handle it some other time due to the length of the topic. I want us now to look at some KCP questions. Questions never miss. More than 2 questions come each year. So questions cannot miss on this topic. So I want us to look at some of the questions that have appeared in the most recent years. That is 2019, 2018, and 2017. As I answer these questions, these KCP questions, you can keep on sending your questions, and I'll also be answering them. Question 1, 2019. 2019 question 1 was in the human body, and it reads, which one of the following pairs of the human body parts is used for breathing? So we have breathing here, so it is the breathing system. Lungs, correct. Esophagus, wrong. Nose, correct. Trachea, correct. So this is our right answer. Diaphragm, correct. Stomach, wrong. Nose, correct. Esophagus, wrong. So our right answer, 2019 question 1, was A. Second question also is 2019 number 29. 2019 number 29. Now the other one was on breathing system. This one is on digestive system. Which one of the following features is least important when describing the molar tooth? This is under teeth. So the molars, we can talk about roots, whereby we say it has 3 roots. So we use that. We can talk about cusps, where we say it has ridges and cusps. We can talk about the breadth, whereby it is broader than premolars. We cannot talk about hardness, so we don't use hardness to describe teeth. Remember, when I taught about teeth, I gave you ways through which we can describe a tooth. 2018 number 19. The following are some parts of the human digestive system. So we have esophagus, stomach, small intestines, and large intestines. Which two parts does digestion of food take place? This is a key word, digestion of food. So digestion of food takes place in what you call alimentary canal. So which ones do we have digestion of food? So we look at it. So esophagus, there is no digestion of food. Stomach, we have digestion of food. Small intestines, we have digestion of food. Large intestine, we don't have digestion of food. We have absorption. So our answer is choice 2 and 3. So our right answer here is boy. So we can look at the next very fast. 2018, number 20. Which one of the following parts of the breathing system warms the incoming air? And the right answer is nose. So we said it has the blood capillaries. And the blood capillaries, the function of the blood capillaries is to warm the air. So that is the nose. We look at the next question, which is 2017, number 24. Which one of the following is a function of fiber in the human diet? So this is about food and digestion of food. Now, helps in food digestion, not really. Helps in absorption, not really. Helps prevent diarrhea, not really. Helps in removal of undigested food material. That is the correct answer. Sometimes it's also referred to as emptying the bowel. Welcome back, viewers. So I'll pick up from where I stopped. The last question, KCP, the last question was 2017, number 45. The diagram below shows the human digestive system. The juice produced at the part labeled N is used to digest dash. So we come to the part labeled N, and the part labeled N is the mouth. So the part labeled N is the mouth. So the right answer here, we look at the juice produced there is saliva. So carbohydrates are digested in the mouth. So the right answer is carbohydrates. Proteins are digested in the stomach. Fats and oils are digested in the duodenum. Mineral salts are absorbed in the large intestines. So those are some of the sample of KCP questions that were set in the last 3 years. So quickly, I want to answer your questions that are streaming. Will you explain further on the functions of the stomach? Now, I've said the stomach produces hydrochloric acid, which helps to fight the germs. The stomach produces also gastric juice, which helps in the digestion of proteins. When food is taken, it stays in the stomach for around 3 to 4 hours before the digestion of the food begins. If a patient was told to take calcium supplements, where was it absorbed? Calcium, those are minerals, but remember it comes as a drug. So because they are minerals, then they'll be absorbed in the large intestine, and also part of it will be absorbed in the stomach because it's a drug. How long is the adult's ileum and colon? It's between 5 to 7 meters. Brian from Lamu, can you repeat the duodenum, please? The duodenum, what you need to know about the duodenum is it helps in the digestion of fats and oils. And bile juice from the liver and pancreatic juice from the liver, pancreatic juice from the pancreas helps in the digestion of the fats. Hello, teacher, it's George from Busara. Repeat the functions of rectum. Rectum stores food temporarily before it is passed outside, the undigested food, before it's passed outside by the anus. Hi teacher, was asking why is it the liver and pancreas are not part of the digestive system? I've said they are part of the digestive system, but they are not part of the alimentary canal. They are just support organs because food does not get into the pancreas and the bile and the liver. Maybe 2 questions. Permanent teeth are also called, this can also be called secondary teeth. They can also be called secondary teeth. Okay, someone's asking what is the other name of the small intestine? The small intestine is also called the ileum. The small intestine is also called the ileum. The last question, which structure produces gastric juice? Gastric juice is produced by the structure called gastric glands, and gastric glands are found on the walls of the stomach. Now, up to there, I want to end the lesson. You keep safe. Remember to revise your work. In one way or the other, you'll still do the exams that are just right ahead. So I end my lesson there. Bye till we meet again.